Welcome, everybody, to the Sunday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike. Today, we are going to talk about all the news going on in the world of football. We're going to update what's going on in the UFL with Week 6 in progress. And we are also going to do my 1.0 predictions for the 2026 NFL season. Yes, normally every year, I do a post-draft, a preseason, and then a week before the regular season kicks off, I do predictions. So 3 different versions of predictions for the season. This is the 1.0 today. I said it on the Tuesday show that I was going to do this, and I immediately went to work on Tuesday night after the show, all my predictions. And I finalized them. We even have the playoffs. I even figured out the playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
I'm not kidding you, Coach. The playoffs. Yes, I figured those out as well. And ultimately, who I think will go and raise the Lombardi Trophy at Super Bowl 61. Okay, so again, this is just the 1.0. This isn't the one that's set in stone. This isn't my finalized one. My finalized one is going to happen in the last week of August, before the 2026 season kicks off. So last year when we did this and I did my predictions, I caught some heat because there was a team that I picked to go 16-1, which was the Los Angeles Chargers. And if you go look at their schedule, how how their schedule was set up and their roster, I think it was a pretty valid thought to the fact that they could have won 16-1. But the injury bug hit them super quick. Now, there is a team in this 1.0 that I predicted to go 16-1. Not the Chargers this year. No. Now, again, would this be my first prediction, my 1.0 for the year? Could this change? Yes. This will definitely and could definitely change for this team. Their 16-1 can turn into a 13-4 by the time we get to August. But as it stands right now and how it looks right now, there's possibilities that this team can go 16-1. So we're going to do that towards the back end of the show today. Going to be the last segment of the day is the 1.0 predictions for the 2026 NFL season. Before we get into everything, make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Hub Podcast over on social media, over on TikTok, X, Instagram, and Epic Studios. At the Huddle Hub Pod, you're going to hit the follow button. Over on the YouTube, you're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. And make sure you're following on the Twitch channel as well at the Huddle Hub Podcast. All of our social media links are in the Twitch bio. So you'll click on the one that you desire. Go follow. Because I know not everybody uses all social medias, all the social media outlets. Go to the one that you desire. Help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast, going through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. So, there's a couple different things happening right now behind me. As you know, my Eagles flag is down. My AEW flag is down. I have a couple things kind of hanging out down on the floor here, and the display case, after I get off air today, is going to be broken down. Why? Because by the end of today, I'm going to be in a different studio. Okay? I am switching rooms, studios, whatever you want to call it. I'm switching. And it's happening today. So if you watch me on the table spot on Monday nights with Cam over on Rivet City Radio and Off the Top Media, table spot on after Monday Night Raw, as we talk about Monday Night Raw, you'll notice I'll be in a new studio tomorrow night. So it's happening today. And I'm super excited for it because this is something that has been planned out for the past couple weeks now. And it's happening today. So that's why the show is live about an hour earlier than normal. and scheduled because the moving is going to happen at about noontime today. So I'm super excited, and I should be fully set up by hopefully 8 o'clock tonight. So hopefully, if not, just make sure I have everything set up by at least midnight. Hoping to have everything set up by at least midnight, which I should. I don't have a lot of stuff to have to set up. So the toughest stuff is probably going to be my computer stuff. Breaking everything down, making sure everything is together, and then when I move, I can just hook everything back up. So should be an easy move. So, but let's get into it. UFL Week 6 happening right now. And crazy start to the UFL week. I will say that. Because when you looked at the UFL standings, at the beginning of the week, the Orlando Storm were in first place. The Orlando Storm were in first place. Currently in second place now because they haven't played yet, but the DC Defenders moved up to first place. The St. Louis Battlehawks jumped the Dallas Renegades from up to third, and the Dallas Renegades moved down to fourth. Louisville Kings, Columbus Aviators, and Houston Gamblers stayed in their same position along with the Birmingham Stallions. Okay? So this UFL season is a lot of fun and really crazy. Now, the DC Defenders, they're on a 5-game win streak right now, while the Dallas Renegades are on a 3-game losing streak. They started the season 3-0. But then you got the Birmingham Stallions, who won their first game of the season and haven't won since. And they play the Orlando Storm, who are looking to bounce back from their loss last week. Their first loss of the season last week. So crazy how the UFL is turning out this week. But back on Thursday night, the St. Louis Battlehawks, they end up defeating the Louisville Kings 16-3 as the Battlehawks move to 4-2. Kings are 2-4 now. Looking at the stats for the quarterbacks, Harrison Frost of the Battlehawks, 22 of 40, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, while Chandler Rogers were over for the Louisville Kings, 15 of 32, 199 yards, and 1 interception. So I know there's a lot more stats than that. I just kind of cover the quarterback stats because we can go over stats all day with the UFL. But we're just going to cover the quarterback stats. So the Houston Gamblers on Friday night end up dropping another game, this time to the Columbus Aviators, 24-17 win for the Aviators, getting their second win of the season to move to 2-4, while the Houston Gamblers, they fall to 2-4. Looking at it for Columbus, Jalen McClendon, 20 of 26, 187 yards and 1 touchdown. And then Jalen Morton came in for a play. He went 1 of 1 for a yard. So not bad. McClendon having a good day there. Talia Tungavailoa, 6 of 10, 65 yards and a touchdown. Nolan Henderson, 5 of 6 for 38 yards. And then John Trey Kirkland, 0-1 for 1 interception for the Houston Gamblers. So Houston dropping their 4th game of the season. And I'll say this right now. I don't have a UFL team. I haven't picked any team. Now, it was a year ago. I was like, yeah, I'm going to ride with Houston. Why not? Just pick a team and ride with them. Was I committed to them? No, not fully. Because if I was committed to them, I'd buy merch. I'd buy a t-shirt, a hat, and all that stuff. Yeah, no, didn't do that. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to pick Houston this year. It is so hard that when you don't have a hometown team in the league, it's like, who do I roll with? And I'm starting to lean more towards the Orlando Storm. I am. And it's not so much because of the, how things are turning out for them, being 4-1. No. I just, for some reason, I'm kind of leaning more towards the Orlando Storm. But we'll see. We'll see, because there's possibility that a Pennsylvania team comes along next year. Who knows? And then it's like, okay, no, I'm gonna roll with the Pennsylvania team. So the Dallas Renegades dropped their third game in a row against the DC Defenders, who are on a hot streak right now. They are 5-1 on the season. They move up to first place with the Orlando Storm still pending, because if the Storm win today, then the Storm move back up to first place. But right now, DC in first place. Dallas drops to 3-3. They're down to fourth place now. Player stats for the quarterbacks: Dallas Renegades, Austin Reed, 22 of 41, 258 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. While Jordan Ta'amu over for the DC Defenders, 20 of 28, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Later on today, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we got the Birmingham Stallions, who desperately need a win, who are 1-4 against the 4-1 Orlando Storm. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of leaning more towards it being a fan of the Storm, at least until there's a Pennsylvania team. Love the logo, love the helmet, the uniforms, everything. So it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm down for the Orlando Storm. And not just because they're 4-1 and possibly move up to 5-1 today and move into first place. By the way, today's game is taking place at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. So if you want to catch that game, head over to Fox at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as I said, UFL standings: DC Defenders are 5-1 in first place. Orlando Storm 4-1 in second place. St. Louis Battlehawks 4-2 in third place. Dallas Renegades 3-3 in fourth place. That would be your playoff teams if it started today. Then the Louisville Kings in fifth, Houston Gamblers at sixth, and Columbus Aviators in seventh, all at 2-4. I got to update that Columbus Aviators at 2-4. And then you got the Birmingham Stallions, who are 1-4, who have yet to play in week 6. So there you go. So your matchups right now in the playoffs would be, I believe, the Dallas Renegades against the DC Defenders, and then the St. Louis Battlehawks against the Orlando Storm. A lot of good matchups for the playoffs. A lot of good matchups. But that's it for the UFL. As far as UFL Pick Challenge, updated. I'm 12-11. John is 15-8 for this week. I picked the Battlehawks. He took the Kings, so I won that. But then we both took the Aviators over the Gamblers and the Defenders over the Renegades. So we both got a win there. And then we both took the Storm for today's game. So if we both win, I would move to 13-11. John would move to 16-8. If we both lose, I'm 12-12. John is 15-9. So there is the updated on the UFL Pick Challenge between me and John. So we will recap that game from week 6 with the Orlando Storm and the Birmingham Stallions. And then we will preview week 7 on Tuesday. So we got some news to talk about from the NFL. In the world of football, I should say. A lot of news coming out this week. This is the most news I think we've had in a while. And the crazy part is it's still kind of not a lot. It's hard to say that, because when you look at what I have, it's like, man, this is a lot, but it's not at the same time. But we're still going to talk about it. Sad news coming out of the world of football this past week. Josh Morrow, former defensive end of the Arizona Cardinals, was announced that he passed away at the age of 35 this past week. And very sad. Hearts, thoughts, prayers, everything go out to his family and friends and anybody who's surrounding him. It's very sad. Sad to hear news of these young players, man. I mean, he's retired and everything like that. He's a former player, but it's still the point. It's sad to hear. 35 years old, way too young. So again, thoughts, prayers, these are always tough things to talk about, so it's hard to find the words. to really say that's right, especially when news comes out that somebody, especially this young, has passed away. So thoughts and prayers and everything to the family and friends surrounding Josh Morrow. Sad news, very sad news. Azeez Al-Shaair, linebacker of the Houston Texans, he signed a 3-year extension, so he is going to be in Houston till at least 2029. So great pickup for the Houston Texans. Justin Simmons, defensive back of the Denver Broncos, has announced his retirement. So Justin Simmons is retiring from the NFL. So Justin Simmons, enjoy retirement. Good luck in every journey that you take from here on out, your future endeavors, whatever you plan on doing with retirement, but enjoy it. And thank you for everything you've done for the game of football, because you were one hell of a player. You still are one hell of a player, but since you're retired and not playing anymore, Chad Brinker, president of football operations for the Tennessee Titans, has stepped down. So this was announced back on, I believe, Wednesday, that he was stepping down from being the president of football operations for the Tennessee Titans. There has not been a word, I don't believe, who would be taking over as interim or even taking over the position yet. But this is a tough time to lose somebody in a position like that. Why? Because OTAs are going to be starting soon. Rookie mini camps are happening right now. And you need your president of football operations in the building. Like, tough time to lose somebody at this stature of this position. So hopefully the Tennessee Titans have it figured out who's running that position at the moment and who's taking care of what that position has to take care of as far as for the franchise and for the team and organization, everything. Because, tough timing for this. But Chad Brinker stepping down from football operations for the Tennessee Titans. A couple fifth-year option pickups. The Lions are picking up the fifth-year option on running back Jahmyr Gibbs. The Chargers are picking up the fifth-year option on wide receiver Quentin Johnston. The Patriots are picking up the fifth-year option on cornerback Christian Gonzalez. The Steelers are have declined the fifth-year option of offensive tackle Broderick Jones. The Titans have picked up the fifth-year option on offensive guard Peter Skoronski. The Bengals have declined the fifth-year option of defensive end Myles Murphy. Who else? The Giants have declined the fifth-year option on cornerback Deonte Banks. And last one. And this one doesn't surprise me at all. Why? Because we talked heavily about this in the past. And that is that the Indianapolis Colts are not picking up the fifth-year option on quarterback Anthony Richardson. Like I said, I have a feeling Anthony Richardson is traded away somewhere. My prediction is still Minnesota. Could it happen? Maybe. But right now, you look at that Minnesota quarterback room and you're thinking that is a pretty packed quarterback room out in Minnesota. It is. So could he end up with another team before the season kicks off? Probably. But who? Because there's been a lot of news that Kevin O'Connell has been the only coach in the league that has really had a lot of belief in this kid. So why not get traded to the team for the coach that believes in you the most in this league? Like I always say, not all players fit in the system they first initially go into. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 teams to find that system. So Anthony Richardson maybe goes to Minnesota and revives his young career. Who knows? We'll have to see. As far as signings, and releases, Running back of the New England Patriots, Elijah Mitchell, has been released. Trying to look here. Who else? Defensive lineman Shelby Harris has signed with the New York Giants. And Chase Claypool, former wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he is going to be attending the rookie camp for the Green Bay Packers. He has not played since 2023. So he is going to attend the rookie minicamp for the Green Bay Packers. It is yet to be known whether they've made a decision on whether they're going to sign him or not. Because, again, rookie minicamp started already. He's showing up to pretty much work out and try out. And I'm guessing the Packers will make their decision then on what they're going to do, whether they'll sign him, whether they will not. And then big signing this past week, defensive lineman Calais Campbell has signed back with the Baltimore Ravens. Calais Campbell had one stint with the Baltimore Ravens in his career. This is his second time with the team. So Calais Campbell, a big name that has been on the free agent board for a while, has now signed back with the Baltimore Ravens. Darius Slayton, wide receiver of the Giants. It was announced that he will be missing the spring workouts after he had core muscle surgery. So it's unknown whether he's going to be ready for, OTAs and mini camp and everything like that. It's unknown. He's not going to be there for the spring, obviously, as it states here. But will he be ready for preseason / mini camp? Maybe. He might be. But as of right now, he will not be attending anything after having core muscle surgery. And Darius Slayton is a pretty decent part of that Giants wide receiver room. So hopefully for the Giants' sake, he's ready to go and ready to compete once everything starts up. A couple months to recover from surgery and get back at it. So we'll see what happens with Darius Slayton. We'll keep up on that. It was announced this week that DK Metcalf, he will not face any criminal charges from the incident that occurred in Detroit during the 2025 NFL season. Now, if you remember this story, DK Metcalf playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they were playing against the Detroit Lions back in December in Detroit, and DK Metcalf had a little scruffle with a fan. Now, apparently, news stated that he had problems with this fan before in the past. Well, it just so happens something happened again, and it was announced he's not going to face any criminal charges from what happened back during this game. So, unsure of the full story of how everything got cleared up and this came to the determination, but DK Metcalf, who is in the middle of his career, basically, making the decision to go up to a fan, number one, during a game, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be on the sideline with your team. Now this should be a lesson. You dodged facing criminal charges. Be with your team while you're on the sideline. Don't go over to fans. Simple as that. Unless you plan on signing an autograph and being friendly with the fans, don't go over to the fans. Simple as that. So, and then last but not least, Patrick Mahomes, quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. It has been announced yesterday that he will be on pace to return for OTAs. Patrick Mahomes, as we know, on the back end of the season last year in 2025, suffered a pretty severe injury. So severe that they didn't know if he was going to be ready for the first month of the 2026 NFL season. But now he's on pace to be back for OTAs, which is crazy because OTAs take place in June, July. That's a month and a half, 2 months away. The severe injury that Patrick Mahomes suffered, and he's going to be back for OTAs. And I said it before on this show, go watch the quarterbacks documentary on Netflix. because this guy has a monster training program that he does. This doesn't surprise me at all. Does not. And I said it that I think he'll be back for the beginning of the year. He wasn't missing time. No way. And you got to think, he had surgery like the day after the injury happened, 2 days after the injury happened. So he's had some time. Says he's had some time to recover. So I think he'll be good to go for OTAs, especially with that expectancy. So NFL rookie signings. We have a couple players who signed their rookie contracts this week. Vega Ione, the offensive guard of the Ravens, the 14th overall pick of the 2026 NFL draft in the first round, has signed his rookie contract. Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver of the Philadelphia Eagles, he was the 20th overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft. He signed his rookie contract plus an $11.5 million bonus. Kid is getting paid. And Caleb Downs, safety of the Dallas Cowboys, picked 11th overall in the 2026 NFL draft, a 4-year, $28.9 million contract, fully guaranteed. Paid. There have been no updates on what other rookies in the first round have signed, but there have been a couple rookies from the other rounds who have signed with their teams. Dallas, I believe, is up to 5 rookies that have signed. So, still have a lot of rookies that need to sign their contract, but these are the rookies that have signed their contract from the first round. I don't have the names from the other rounds. I just focused more so on the first round signees. So, but that's it for the news. We're going to take about a 30 to 45 second break here, and then we're going to switch gears and get ready to do our 1.0 predictions here on the Huddle Podcast. So I'll be right back after this. This background music is a jam. This background music is called Night Drive. It's on the program here. And it's so hard not to jam out to it. And then you take these longer commercial breaks because you're just jamming out to the song. It's so ridiculous. It is. It's ridiculous. All right, guys, make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Up Podcast over on social media after the show today, over on TikTok, Instagram, X, and on Epic Studios at the Huddle Up Pod. You're going to hit that follow button over on the YouTube. You're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube, and follow on the Twitch channel at the Huddle Up Podcast. All of our social media links are in the Twitch bio. You click on the one you desire to go to, because not everybody uses all social media. I get that. And it's understandable because not everybody wants to have all social media. You know, we're currently building the Huddle Hub Podcast Facebook as well. That will be out soon, but help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. Okay. All right, guys. So we're going to get into my 1.0 predictions. Okay. 1.0 predictions of the 2026-2027 NFL offseason. And why I put 2027? Why? Because the playoffs happen in 2027. They do. Beginning of 2027, January, NFL playoffs. And yes.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Kidding you, Coach. I said it earlier. Playoffs. Okay? And that's going to happen. Okay? So with that being said, how we're going to do this is I'm going to say what I think the team record's going to be. And if they have a, for example, if I have a team that's 13-4, I'll just say what teams I think they're going to lose to this season. If I have a team that is just so happens to be 1-16, I'll just name the one team that they beat. I do have a team that I think will go 1-16 as of right now. Now, again, all this could change. This is 1.0 out of 3. We're going to do one as preseason kicks off, and then we're going to do one right after preseason. So 4 weeks after doing a 2.0, we're going to do 3.0. And that 3.0 is going to be the set in stone one. Okay. Now, like I said, I have a team that I think will go 16-1, but that can change. So don't get so worked up, especially if you're not a fan of that team, because it can change. These are probably a little unrealistic right now. So here we go. All right. In the NFC East, let's start off with the NFC East. I have the Philadelphia Eagles going 13-4. Okay. The teams I have them losing to, the Cowboys one time out of the 2 times they meet. I have them losing to the Rams, Bears, and 49ers. Okay. That's the four losses for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys, I have them going 8-9. I have them beating the Eagles once, the Giants once, the Commanders twice, Cardinals, Jaguars, Titans, and Colts. The Giants, I have going 5-12. The teams I have them beating, the Cowboys and Commanders both once, the Cardinals, Titans, and Colts. And then I have the Commanders going 7-10. The teams I have them beating, the Giants, Seahawks, Cardinals, Falcons, Colts, Vikings, and Titans. I have the Eagles going 5-1 in the division, the Cowboys going 4-2, the Giants going 2-4, and the Commanders going 1-5. So that would mean the Philadelphia Eagles would win the NFC East in 2026. Okay. Now, for the NFC West, I have the 49ers going 14-3. Losing to the Seahawks and Rams once in the division, and the Broncos. I have the Rams going 14-3, losing to the 49ers, Seahawks, and Bills. I have the Seahawks going 10-7, defending Super Bowl champions going 10-7 this year, losing to the 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals. So that would make them 3-3 in the division. I'll announce the division records in a minute. But they also lose to the Eagles, Commanders, Chiefs, and Broncos. And then the Cardinals, as of right now, I have them going 3-14 with only beating the Seahawks, Raiders, and Saints. 49ers, I have them going 4-2 in the division. Rams going 4-2 in the division. The Seahawks 3-3 and the Cardinals going 1-5. Now, you're thinking, hold on, you have the Rams and the 49ers in a tie in both division play and overall. Well, with the 49ers, they lose to the Broncos, but the Rams, they beat the Broncos. So with that head-to-head against the Broncos, the Rams end up winning the division. So they would end up, being a higher seed, win the division, and then the 49ers still make the playoffs, and I'll tell you what position they're in, but lower seed. And they end up on the road in the playoffs again. In the NFC North, I have the Packers going 11-6, with their 6 losses being against the Bears and Lions both once. The Bills, Panthers, Texans, and Rams. I have the Bears going 9-8. Their 8 losses, Packers and Lions both once. Jaguars, Jets, Bills, Panthers, Seahawks, and Dolphins. The Vikings going 5-12, with their wins being one against the Lions and the Falcons, Patriots, Saints, and Bucks. And then the Lions going 12-5, with their 5 losses being the Packers and Bears and Vikings both all once, division play, and then the Patriots and Bucks. I have the Packers going 4-2 in division play, the Bears 4-2, the Vikings 1-5, and the Lions 3-3. But because the Packers have the better record than the Bears, the Packers win the. The Lions have the better record at 12-5. Packers being 11-6. Even though the Lions have a worse division record, they had a better win-loss. So Lions win the division. It's crazy how that works out, right? Crazy. And then we got the NFC South, the Panthers, the defending NFC South champion, Carolina Panthers going 11-6, losing to the Bucks, Ravens, Broncos, Lions, Seahawks, and Eagles. The Bucks going 6-11, with only beating the Panthers, Falcons, Saints all once, and then the Browns, Cowboys, and Lions. The Saints going 3-14, with only beating the Falcons and Bucks once, then the Giants. And the Falcons going 2-15, with only beating the Bucks and Saints in division play. So I had the Panthers going 5-1 in division, the Bucks going 3-3, the Saints going 2-4, and the Falcons going 2-4, which leaves the Carolina Panthers winning the NFC South for a second year in a row. Okay. Now, let's head over to the AFC. For the AFC East, I got the New England Patriots going 10-7, with losing to the Bills and Jets in division play once, the Broncos, Packers, Vikings, Bears, and Seahawks. I got the Bills going 13-4, with only losing to the Patriots, Texans, Lions, and Ravens. The Jets, they're going to improve this year to 6-11, with only beating the Patriots and Dolphins in division play once, then the Titans, Bears, Cardinals, and Vikings. And then the Dolphins go into 4-13, with only beating the Jets, Vikings, Colts, and Bears. Patriots 4-2, Bills 5-1, Jets 2-4, and Dolphins 1-5 in division play. Okay. Now, the AFC West, I have the Kansas City Chiefs going 7-10, so they're going to improve by 1 win this year. Okay. I have them beating the Chargers and Raiders once in division play. Then they beat the Cardinals, Jets, Falcons, Dolphins, and Seahawks. I have the Broncos going 13-4, with only losing to the Chargers, Raiders, Bills, and Rams. I have the Chargers going 6-11, with only beating the Broncos, Chiefs, Cardinals, Jets, Dolphins, and Bucks. And I have the Raiders going 9-8, with losing to the Broncos, Chiefs, Bills, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, Patriots, and 49ers. In division play, I have the Chiefs going 2-4, Broncos 4-2, Chargers 2-4, and Raiders 4-2. And yes, the Broncos and Raiders both 4-2, but the Broncos end up winning winning the division because of the win-loss record. Okay. The AFC North, I got the Steelers going 6-11. First losing season in 20 years. Okay. 6-11, with only beating the Bengals, Browns, Falcons, Saints, Bucks, and Titans. The Ravens, I have them going 14-3, with only losing to the Browns, Bengals, and Texans. The Bengals, I have them going 12-5, bouncing back after a couple rough seasons, only losing to the Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Panthers, and Texans. And then the Browns, I have going 9-8, improving to a winning record this year, with only losing to the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Panthers, Texans, Raiders, Jaguars, and Bucks. Now, as far as division play, I have the Steelers going 2-4, Ravens 4-2, Bengals 3-3, and the Browns 3-3. So the Ravens win the AFC North. And in the final division of the AFC, I have the Texans going 16-1. Okay. Like I said, right now, 1.0, It's just by the catch of the eye. We have 2 more of these to do. So this could change. But I have the Texans going 16-1 with only losing to the Jaguars once. I have the Colts going 5-12 with only beating the Jaguars, Titans, Steelers, Vikings, and Chiefs. I have the Titans going 1-16 with only beating the Colts. Okay. And then I have the Jaguars going 10-7 with losing to the Texans, Colts, Patriots, Eagles, Ravens, Bengals, and Broncos. In division play, the Texans go 5-1, Colts 2-4, Titans 1-5, and then the Jaguars 4-2 with the Texans winning the AFC South. Okay. So that is the full-on prediction 1.0. Okay. So let's run down the standings really quick. What's up, Cam? How's it going? Welcome. Thank you for joining me here on this Sunday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. We are doing my 1.0 predictions right now. Again, this is just by the catch of the eye matchup, how teams look right now with post-draft and free agency, all that stuff. This can all change. We have 2 more of these to do throughout the summertime before preseason kicks off and a week before the season kicks off. So this isn't my set in stone predictions. This is not. We got 2 more of these to do. Okay. So as I said a couple times today, relax. This isn't my final thing. This can all change. That 16-1 for the Texans is most likely going to be changed by the time we get to a week before the season starts when I do my finalized one. Okay? So this is just a post-draft thing. Got 2 more of these to do throughout the next couple months. So as far as standings, so the Eagles, they would win the NFC East. The Bills win the AFC East. The Rams win the NFC West. The Broncos win the AFC West. The Lions win the NFC North. The Ravens win the AFC North. The Panthers win the NFC South. And the Texans would win the AFC South. Okay. That would be the divisions and who wins what. Now let's get to the playoff matchups. Okay. Now, again, sitting here configuring out head-to-head matchups, division records, all that stuff. So here are the seeds for the playoffs. First off, with the AFC, the Texans would be the number 1 seed, home field advantage, first week bye. The Ravens would have the 2 seed. The Bills would have the 3 seed. Now, the Bills and Broncos both 13-4. Okay, time record. How'd this break? Well, because the Bills end up beating the Broncos in the regular season. Held to head-to-head matchup. So the Bills are the 3, the Broncos are the 4. The Bengals would clinch the 5 seed. The Patriots at 10-7 would clinch the 6 seed, and the Jaguars would be the 7 seed. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, having a little more rougher season this year, but they still get into the playoffs.
Duval.
Duval. There you go, Jaguars fans. 7 seed. Yeah, not bad. Packers have faced it. They've won at least once in the 7 seed. So, in the NFC, the Rams. Now, the Rams and 49ers, both 14-3, same division records, but the Rams end up winning because of head-to-head matchup. And I had it in my mind of what this head-to-head matchup was, and I just completely forgot. It was because the Rams beat the Broncos, but the 49ers lose to the Broncos. That's why. That's the breaker for a head-to-head matchup with an opponent. So that's why the Rams win the NFC West. They also get home field advantage of 14-3, and the 49ers end up clinching the 5th seed. Okay. Now the Eagles, they win the NFC East at the 2 seed. The Lions are the 3 seed at 12-5. Panthers are the 4th seed at 11-6. Those are your division winners. Again, the 49ers are the 5 seed. Packers clinch the 6 seed at 11-6. And then the Seahawks clinch the 7 seed at 10-7. Defending Super Bowl champions, 10-7, 7th seed. So the matchups would be, and here are my predictions for the playoffs. The Seahawks heading to Philadelphia, the Packers heading to Detroit, and the 49ers head to Carolina. In the AFC, the Jaguars head out to Baltimore to play the Ravens, the Patriots play the Bills, and the Bengals head out to Denver to take on the Broncos. That's in the first round. I got the Lions defeating the Packers in Detroit. And I got the 49ers heading out to Carolina and beating the Panthers. So then the divisional round matchups would make up the Lions heading out to Philadelphia and the 49ers heading out to Los Angeles to play the Rams. In the AFC, I have the Ravens defeating the Jaguars. I have the Bills defeating the Patriots. And I have the Broncos beating the Bengals. Now, with the Broncos being the lowest seed remaining, they would head out to Houston, and the Bills would head out to Baltimore in the divisional round. Now, in the AFC side of the divisional round, I have the Bills defeating the Ravens in Baltimore. And, of course, I have the Houston Texans, who went 16-1, beating the Denver Broncos. It would only make sense. Okay? So, in the AFC Championship, the Bills and the Texans. And then for the NFC side, I have the Eagles defeating the Lions and the Rams defeating the 49ers in Los Angeles, setting up an Eagles and Rams NFC Championship. And my Super Bowl 61 matchup, Eagles defeat the Rams and the Texans defeat the Bills. So Eagles, Texans, Super Bowl 61. That's what I have for my 1.0. Okay? I forgot to hit the scroll for the playoff matchups. So I'll let that scroll through. Let that scroll through for a minute, but that is my predictions for the 1.0. And by the way, of course, Philadelphia Eagles win Super Bowl 61. Upsetting the Texans. Upset. We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. We still got another thing to talk about. Now, with how things have happened, we obviously have the draft, right? Okay, so we got to see how teams pan out for the draft. What position do they get? Okay, so I even have that figured out on how the 2027 NFL draft would be if this all were to occur. So let's look at the draft order. So the Tennessee Titans, 1-16, would have the number 1 overall pick. The Falcons at 2-15 would have the number 2 overall pick. The Cardinals would have the 3rd overall pick at 3-14. The Saints would have the 4th overall pick at 3-14. The Dolphins would have the 5th overall pick at 4-13. The Vikings would have the 6th overall pick. The Colts would have the 7th. The Giants would have the 8th, all at 5-12. The Steelers would have the 9th overall pick at 6-11. The Chargers 6-11 at 10, the Jets 6-11 at 11, and the Bucks at 6-11 at 12. Okay, and then the Commanders, they're 7-10. They'd be 13th. The Chiefs would be 14th at 7-10. The Dallas Cowboys would have the 15th overall pick at 8-9. The Browns would be 16. The Bears would be 17, and the Raiders would be 18, all at 9-8. The 19th overall pick, okay? And this would start getting into the playoff teams, okay? So the first team that would be eliminated from the playoffs would be the Seattle Seahawks. So they would have the 19th overall pick. The Jacksonville Jaguars would be the 20th overall pick, both at 10-7. The Patriots would be at the 21st overall pick at 10-7. The Packers at 11-6, the 22nd overall pick. The Panthers at 11-6, 23rd overall pick. Then the Bengals, who went 12-5, get eliminated in the playoffs in the divisional round, the 24th overall. The Lions, 12-5, divisional round elimination, 25th overall. The Broncos, with a divisional round elimination, 26th overall. The 49ers, 27th overall at 14-3. The Ravens, 28th overall at 14-3. And then we get to the conference championship teams. The Rams get eliminated by the Philadelphia Eagles, 14-3. They're 29th. The Bills, 13-4 at 30th. And then the Texans, because, picking the Eagles to beat the Texans in the Super Bowl, 16-1, 31st overall pick. And then the Eagles, Super Bowl champions, 32nd overall pick, 13-4. Okay. So there's the 2027 NFL draft order. Now, again, I'm going to do another one of these before preseason starts. And again, guarantee you now, this is going to be a completely different thing. It's not going to be the same. Some things might be the same. Been doing this every year. Every year. So this is nothing new. And again, that Texans 16-1, the Eagles getting picked to win the Super Bowl, all that stuff could change. And most likely will change. Most likely will change. But that is my 1.0 predictions for the 2026-2027 NFL season. So there we go. And that's it. That's all we got today, guys. I got to get going. We got to get out of here because I'm going to be in my new studio by tonight. Super excited. Can't wait to get in there and get things set up. That's why, as you notice, things are kind of a little messy behind me right now. So I got to get to work. Got to get to work on getting into that new studio by tonight. But before we get out of here, one more time. TikTok, Instagram, X, and Epic Studios at the Huddle Pod. Follow on YouTube. You're going to hit the subscribe button, and over on Twitch, you're going to hit the follow button. All of our social media links are in the Twitch bio. Click on the one you desire to go to. Help us build the Huddle Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. You can also follow me on social media at MiddleMike714 on Instagram, X, YouTube, and TikTok. Okay? That's where you can find me. I haven't posted a lot personally on social media as of late. It's crazy. My last video on TikTok, and this is nuts. It happened back in like February, which is crazy. Yeah, February 16th was my last personal post on TikTok. It's May 3rd. What am I doing? Right? But that's all I got for you guys today. Gonna get out of here. Gonna be back here on Tuesday night for another episode of the Huddle Hub Podcast. Until then, guys, be good to each other. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Take care of each other. Be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until Tuesday night, we'll see you guys on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with myself and John. Until then, have a great rest of your weekend. Deuces.